Welcome to Screen Recap, your shortcut to movie magic. We break down the best films in minutes, keeping it fast, fun, and packed with all the essentials. The movie starts with a young man named Will. Will was lucky in life because his father and mother are the strongest in the world. They have defeated many villains and the whole world knows and loves them. But at the same time, Will wasn't lucky because he couldn't discover his true power until now and was always weak. He was afraid that his father Steve and mother Josie would find out he was weak and not strong like them because that would be a big deal. Steve and Josie were real estate agents to cover their great powers, buying and selling to the world's rich. When Will was training in his room, he couldn't lift iron weights. That's why when his father came in, he would always pretend to lift a lot of iron so his father would think he was very strong and confident. At that time, Will was attending the same school his father had attended for superpowers. He was happy that his son was following in his footsteps like his mother and would study at their school. Will always told his son that the most important thing was to be strong like him, so that if anything happened in the world, he would be there to save it when he died. At that time, when his father was talking to him, the girl Layla came. Layla was his classmate and Will's friend since they were little kids. They grew up together. At that time, Layla's superpower was that she could make plants blossom again and not die. Then the governor calls Steve and Josie for a big mission because of the presence of a major threat to the city. At that time, they fly off quickly with their special abilities, and Will watches what his parents do on TV with Layla and is very proud of them. At the same time, Will felt frustrated and hopeless because he couldn't discover his powers like his parents. Will and Layla head out to the bus stop to catch the bus to their new school. They get on the bus, and the driver yells at him for being late. The driver was crazy and treated all the students badly, but here, Will tells the driver that he is the son of Steve and Josie. He treated them well and let them sit in the front of the bus. On the way, all the kids enjoy the trip and get to know each other, not knowing what awaits them on their first day at school. Midway, the driver changes the route and takes an unfinished road, jumping off a big bridge. Here, the bus flies into the air after transforming into a very fast plane, heading to the new school located among the clouds in the sky. At that time, the school gathered only those with superpowers and no one else could enter. It had those who could freeze people, possess firepower, had elastic bodies, were fast and strong. Everything you could imagine. That day was Will and his friends' first day, and as usual, any new place we go to must have a proper welcome from the old folks. Here, some bullies at the school tried to take money from Will and his friends, but the student union president managed to drive them away. At that time, Will fell in love with her at first sight and wanted to talk to her and win her over, and she would win him over too. After that, the school principal came and introduced herself to all the students, informing them that there would be capability tests to divide them into two groups. At that time, if the powers they possessed were rare and deserved a place in the school, they would be part of the hero team, but if their powers were ordinary, they would be part of the sidekick team that assists the heroes. The students were upset about the division because they saw it as unfair since it was only their first day, and some people hadn't yet shown their superpowers. Then a guy wearing a baseball outfit came in, and he would test them and classify them. Something like a product evaluation in his time. The first one could transform into a giant beast and became a hero. Another could melt and became a sidekick. A girl who could turn into a mouse also became a sidekick. Will was afraid of his turn because he hadn't yet discovered his own special power, and it would be a big scandal since he was known as the son of Steve and Josie, the kings of action in the entire galaxy. Layla's turn came, and she told the coach that her power appeared in certain places. He was annoyed with her, and felt she was trying to escape from the heroes and join the sidekicks. Then the lunch bell rang before they went to eat. The coach noticed Steve and informed him that after lunch they would start with him and prepare himself to see his abilities. They went to eat after that. His friends with him expected his power and superpower to be very big since he was the son of the strongest people in the galaxy. Even the bullies wanted him with them in their mischief to ensure he wouldn't hit them. After that, they sat down to eat, and at that time, Will noticed one of their classmates. From the old folks was looking at him with an evil eye since they entered the cafeteria. He asked them about the evil guy who wouldn't take his eyes off him. They told him his name was Bass and his father was in jail. They told him his father was an evil person with great superpowers he used for evil. Steve and Josie were the ones who caught him, and because of them, he was imprisoned. Here, Will realized that he is in trouble. After eating, they all went to the field where they conducted the capability tests. The coach indeed started with Will, as he had informed him before lunch. At that time, Will told him to go easy on him, but the coach couldn't believe Will had no powers. Here he fell from a big car because he thought Will was humble and didn't want to show his great superpowers. But here, Will disappointed them all and fell on the ground under the car that almost killed him. When the coach confirmed he had no superpowers, he mocked him in front of all his friends. At that time, all the friends were disappointed that Will had no superpowers, even though he was the son of the two most powerful people on the planet. From there, it became a joke about Will, and he became the school's laughingstock. After the test was over, Will went to the school doctor to treat his soul after the coach made a fool of him. The doctor couldn't believe that the son of Steve and Josie had no superpowers. The doctor knew that if his parents had superpowers, he should have them too, and it was rare for someone whose parents had superpowers not to have them. And she only met one person her whole life, and that was the bus driver. He was the first to look out the window at the bus driver, seemingly lost and a bit foolish, hoping not to reach that stage. He discovered his extraordinary ability quickly before his father would scold him, and the school doctor asked that his parents not be informed about his special abilities, because if they knew, they would regret having gone through the trouble of raising him. After that, they return home, and his parents eagerly await to find out how his first day at the superhero school went, and whether he is a hero or just a sidekick. At that moment, Will wants to tell the truth and relieve himself from the guilt, but he hesitates when he sees them so happy and excited to see their son enter the school. They assumed he was a hero, and he remained silent. Later, Bobby takes him underground to a secret lab for his research. Stevie shows Will the lab filled with monsters he and his mother defeated and the weapons they seized to prevent misuse for evil. While in the lab, Steve tells his son about his achievements and heroics, but Will feels detached, not understanding anything, just thinking about how to tell them. He failed the special abilities test and has no superpower. Will was also excited about his father's secret place, expressing his long-held desire to see it. His father tells him that the future is his and he must protect the city like he did with his mother. His father warns him never to reveal the lab's location or trust anyone. Afterward, they leave the lab, go upstairs to their apartment, and at night, Layla visits him from the tree. Layla sits with Will, who is upset about what happened at school. She encourages him to be brave and tell them the truth instead of them finding out by accident and damaging their relationship. The next morning, they go to school, starting their first day in the sidekick class. Layla is happy to be with Will despite her superpower, assuring him she will always stay by his side. After school, they go to his house to study. His father meets his friends, and Will explains that all his friends are heroes. Steve, his father, is surprised by their seemingly simple powers. Will decides to be brave and tell his father the truth. Before he can, his father expresses surprise at how they are heroes with such weak powers. Will then admits they are all sidekicks, not heroes. Steve didn't understand asking why Will befriends sidekicks instead of heroes. Will reveals he is also a sidekick, not a hero, which greatly disappoints Steve. However, his father reassures him, encouraging him to discover his power and become a hero. Will explains that even if he never finds a superpower, he is happy and proud to be part of the sidekick team. Later, Steve complains to his wife about their son embarrassing them among all the superheroes. Josie tries to comfort him, emphasizing that not everything needs a superpower and that their family is more important. Steve tells Josie he considers involving Will in real estate instead of focusing on school and superpowers, not wanting to pressure him. The next day at school, while Will is carrying food to sit with his friends, bullies trip him, spilling food on Bess, who never forgives. Bess gets angry, grabs Will, and burns him with his fire. Will runs away, chased by Bess, who is furious. Will hides under the tables to avoid the fire. Bess stands on the tables, throwing fire everywhere, not giving Will a moment to breathe. Bess prepares to burn Will, but Will stands up, discovers his superpower, and throws Bess into the ceiling. The whole school learns Will has the greatest superpower among them. Bess doesn't let it go, attacking Will with fire, but Will hits him so hard he breaks the wall. Bess, engulfed in flames, charges at Will, but Layla throws a fire extinguisher, putting out Bess's fire, defeating him. The principal intervenes, taking them to her office, ensuring no superpower is used to prevent fights until their parents are contacted. In the office, Will tries to make peace with Bess, explaining he doesn't want enmity. Bess refuses any form of peace, considering Will his first enemy due to their past and their father's history. After school, Will returns home to his parents, expecting them to be happy about his discovered superpower, but they are upset about the school's damage. Steve takes him to the lab, pretending to punish him, but is secretly thrilled his son is a hero. Steve was only acting in front of Josie, his wife, to pretend to discipline Will, but he was genuinely happy their son wouldn't disappoint them and would have a great superpower. Meanwhile, the last robot head they destroyed activates, revealing a camera showing aliens watching and planning to invade the lab to steal a crucial weapon for their evil plans. The next morning, Will goes to school. However, he moves from his class to the class of superheroes after he managed to discover his special power and ability. He was upset about leaving all his friends, When he goes to the superhero class, he joins the class of science with Gwen, whom he had a crush on since he first entered the school. As soon as he entered the school, was supposed to make him a gun that freezes anything. She can do it in an instant due to her superpower that allows her to reshape anything she thinks of. Gwen loved Will and was very happy that he had superpowers and could fight and destroy in the restaurant. During the break, they go to eat and sit with Gwen, and when his friends come to sit with him, Gwen orders the girls who follow her to prevent them from sitting with him, which annoys Will because they are his main friends, and such a thing shouldn't happen to them. That's why Will goes to Layla and tell her to meet with him at night, and they agree to go out on a date. Later, Will hears a lot of noise in the school corridor, and when he goes to see what's happening, he finds the bullies fighting with Will's friends and bothering them. However, Will defends them, but they then agree with him to enter a game challenge with them. No one can win it except them. Will doesn't want this challenge, but he is forced to agree. When the time for the game comes, they choose Bess to be on Will's team. They are supposed to save the doll from destruction before the time runs out. Then they start cooperating with each other, but the problem is that the bullies' team was very strong due to their great speed. However, Will manages to control them in the end, saves Bess, and they win the challenge. Afterward, Will returns home to find Gwen there, having met his father and mother, and they spend time together. Will forgets his date with Layla, who is upset and alone in the restaurant, but Layla finds that Bess is working there, and he sits with her, and they spend time together. The next day, Layla goes to confess her love to Will after taking Bess's advice, but Will surprises her by saying he's going to the school party with Gwen. Layla becomes silent, upset, and agrees with Bess to go to the party together and have fun to annoy Will. Their idea succeeds because Will doesn't like Bess. At that time, Will is busy with Gwen, who wants to control him for a specific purpose in her mind, and she asks him to have a party at his place. Will initially refuses, but eventually agrees for her. During the party, Gwen refuses to let Will invite his supportive friends because they are all heroes together. Layla passes by the house and sees that Will is having a party and is upset that she wasn't invited. Layla enters the party and Gwen tries to keep her away from Will by any means. Layla realizes that Will doesn't love her and she's wasting her time, which makes her very upset. However, Will becomes upset with what Gwen did and goes after her, but she leaves. Will then decides to cancel the party, but his father and mother arrive, and they are upset that he had a party behind their backs, and they kick everyone out of the house. His father decides to punish him by preventing him from going to the heroes' party at the school. He tells him, "I'm not going anyway and don't want to be there among them." He tries to contact Layla in any way but can't reach her. He then goes to the restaurant where she sits and sees Bess, who tells him that Layla loves him a lot, and they did this to tease him. Will is upset that he didn't feel Layla's love before. Later, his father and mother try to convince him to go with them to the party, but he refuses. However, at that time, Will discovers a great resemblance between Gwen and the evil woman who was present during his father and mother's time, and understands that she is evil and wants to kill them at the party after he found out that a weapon disappeared from his father's lab when Gwen entered it. At the school, Gwen reveals her true self, destroys Steve and Josie, and turns them into children with the weapon she stole. There, Bess takes Layla out of the party to save her with their friends, and Will apologizes to Layla for everything he did to her and confesses his love for her. Then they all agree to stand together as one to catch Gwen and save everyone at the party. Will leaves his friends to deal with Gwen's evil team and chases after Gwen, but Gwen throws him out of the building. However, they all discover that he can fly and also take his mother's power and returns to destroy and capture her. He then manages to restore his father and mother and the other heroes who were turned into children and apologizes to his father for not being able to protect his lab. But his father forgives him because he saved them all. After that, all the students at the school live together and form one team, and the idea of heroes and sidekicks is abolished. Gwen and her evil team are imprisoned in the room that prevents the appearance of superpowers, and the movie ends here. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more new videos.